Good morning. This is a guide or a tutorial guide for our lesson, which is the formation of heavier elements. This is a lesson 1 in physical science entitled Stellar Nucleosynthesis, the Rise of the Stars. In this module, you are expected to explain stellar nucleosynthesis, describe the different stages of life cycle of stars, cite the different heavy elements formed in each stages of star cycle. So, tingnan nyo yung mga keywords: stellar, nucleosynthesis, life cycle of stars, and elements, heavy elements. So, what is nucleosynthesis? Nucleosynthesis is the formation of elements. So, alam nyo naman yung mga elements, diba? Saan nakalista ang mga elements na to? In the periodic table. How important are the elements to us? Elements are important because it composes matter. Now, in the formation of elements, there are three types of nucleosynthesis. Number 1, Big Bang nucleosynthesis. Number 2, stellar nucleosynthesis. And number 3, supernova nucleosynthesis or the neutron capture reaction. So, ano kaya ang differences ng tatlong ito? Out of these three type of nucleosynthesis, magfo-focus tayo sa number 2, which is the stellar nucleosynthesis. Now, let's take a look of our periodic table. Looking to our periodic table, how many elements do we have? There are 118 elements. Tanong, anong basis kung paano natin masasabi na light elements ba to or heavy? What do you think? Kung makikita nyo ang key information sa taas, ayun, key information, ang nandoon ay hydrogen. Hydrogen has an atomic number of 1 and atomic mass of 1. So, hydrogen is the lightest element. Lightest, pinakamagaan. So, anong basihan again? Ang basihan ay ang atomic number at ang atomic mass. Ngayon, tingnan natin ang mga nasa periodic table. Pinakauna is hydrogen with atomic number of 1. Then, helium with an atomic number of 2. Then, lithium with an atomic number of 3. And beryllium with an atomic number of 4. So, yung apat na yan are considered to be the lightest element. Now, before going on, let us discuss the history of the universe. Dati ba may mga elements na where the origin of the universe is described by the Big Bang theory, which was introduced by Edwin Hubble in 1929. The Big Bang theory is one of the leading explanation about the origin of the universe. Kailan ba nag-start ang universe? Origin of the universe. It started 13.7 billion years ago. Paano ba nagsimula ang universe na ito according to Big Bang? It started as a very dense and hot ball, isang bola, tinatawag na primordial atom, that explode. sumabog. But actually, hindi naman to sumabog, kundi the truth is there was expansion. Nang dahil sumabog ito, maraming particles ang nagkalat-kalat. That's why tinawag natin itong expansion. During the rapid expansion, it caused the universe to cool down, lumamig, forming new particles. So alam nyo na to, proton, electron, and neutrons. So itong tatlo na to are the particles of an atom. So itong atom na to soon to become an element that we know today. As it cooled down, subatomic particles undergo nuclear reactions. So habang nagko-cool down, itong mga protons, electrons, and neutrons na ito ay nagkaroon ng reactions na tinatawag nating nuclear reactions. And a phase called Big Bang nucleosynthesis. So Big Bang again ha, Big Bang. So what is Big Bang nucleosynthesis? Big Bang nucleosynthesis is the formation of elements from Big Bang. Pagkatapos ng pagsabog in Big Bang and it cooled down, elements were formed through nuclear reaction and nuclear fusion. So ano-ano ba yung mga na-form na elements? Na-form ang light elements na nakita natin sa periodic table. So, ano-ano ba yon? Ito yung hydrogen H, yung helium He, yung lithium Li, and yung beryllium Be. What is the atomic number of hydrogen? 1. Atomic mass 1. Helium 2. Atomic number 4. Atomic mass. Lithium atomic number 3 and atomic mass 6, while beryllium atomic number 4 and atomic mass is 9. So, na-form ito through nuclear fusion. Ano ba yung nuclear fusion? Nuclear fusion is a nuclear processes wherein light nuclei fuse together to form heavier nucleus. So, what do we mean by nuclei? Ito ay nucleus, which is found in an atom. Ano ba nagko-compose ng nucleus? It composes the proton and neutron. So, in Big Bang nucleosynthesis, these 4 light elements were formed. And also, may na-form pang isotopes like H1, H2, H3. These are hydrogen, but tinatawag nating protium, deuterium, and tritium. And isotopes of helium He, which is He3 and He4. And isotopes of lithium, which is Li7. So, ano bang ibig sabihin ng mga 3, 4, 7, 1, 2? Ito yung mga atomic mass. So, what is an isotope? Isotopes is a form of element that has the same atomic number of the original element but with different atomic mass or mass number. Like for hydrogen nga, the atomic number is 1. The isotopes are the following. H1 is protium. Ito. H2 is deuterium. And H3 is tritium. So, saan sila nagkakaiba? Nagkakaiba sila sa number of neutrons. So, ano ba ang effect ng bawat isang to? So, the number 3, which is the tritium, pinapakita nito na heavy hydrogen siya. So, kung ito ay parang mga kamote, pipiliin mo kung gagawa ka halimbawa ng isang hydrogen bomb, kukunin mo na yung hydrogen atom na tritium. Kasi alam mo, ito ay pinakamabagsik. Bakit pinakamabagsik. Ito yung pinaka-dense o pinakamabigat. Ibig sabihin, iba ang kakayahan niya compared to the protium, which is the atomic number of 1 and with atomic mass of 1. So remember, ano nga yung na-form sa Big Bang nucleosynthesis? The light elements. Aside from that, the isotopes. Isotopes of hydrogen, isotopes of helium, and isotopes of lithium. So tapos na tayo sa Big Bang nucleosynthesis. Next. Paano ba nangyayari ang nuclear reactions na to? Paano ba nangyayari? So, alam natin na we have important particles. Yung P is the proton. Yung N is the neutron. So, for this example, one proton and another neutron combine, it forms deuterium. Nakita natin, nagsama yung pink and blue, naging siyang deuterium. So, deuterium is a form of hydrogen. So, same lang dito. Proton and neutron combine together or fuse together or undergo a nuclear reaction. It form a deuterium again. So, yung deuterium na ito fuse together, nagsama together, and produce. Anong na-produce? Na-produce nila ang helium, which is an isotopes of helium, and one neutron is humiwalay. One neutron is released. So this is an example of a nuclear reaction. Nagkaroon lang ng combination. Nung nadagdag, nag-combine. So ito ay different na doon. Itong deuterium, different na doon kasi nagsama na sila. Nung nagsama ang dalawa, naka-form ng different element. Hindi na siya deuterium, naging helium na siya. For example, nuclear reaction. Ito naman ang example of nuclear fusion. Sabi natin sa nuclear fusion, pag sinabing fusion, there is a combination. The first is a deuterium. It's an isotopes of hydrogen. The second naman is a tritium, isotopes of hydrogen. Then, nag-combine sila. It produces an element which is helium with a release of neutron. So, ito ang example of a nuclear fusion. Next, kung ito bang helium na to, pag-combine ulit sa another deuterium, ano kaya ang mapoproduce? So, nakikita natin kung paano napoproduce ang isang element. By way of fusion, sa pakikipag-combine niya from another nucleus, nadadagdagan ang neutrons niya and protons, nagiging ibang element na siya through nuclear fusion. Next, we come now to the number 2, which is the stellar nucleosynthesis. Kung yung kanina is Big Bang nucleosynthesis, just after Big Bang, now, punta naman tayo sa stellar nucleosynthesis. Stellar means star. Nucleosynthesis means formation of elements. So, this is the formation of elements in the star or within the star or at the center of the star. So, ang tanong dito, how elements are formed in the star and what kind of elements kaya ang formed in the star? Is it the same ba as in dun sa Big Bang nucleosynthesis or it is the heavier elements? So before that, let's study the life cycle of a star. Ba't kaya kailangan nating pag-aralan ang life cycle of a star? Sa tingin nyo ba, may bearing ba to sa formation of elements? So, ito yung mga words na ilalagay dito. Nebula, protostar, main sequence star, red supergiant star, supernova, black hole, neutron star, red giant star, white dwarf, and the black dwarf star. So, sige nga, sagutan na natin to. This is your activity. In your module, meron dong mga clue. So, kailangan basahin lang yung clue para masagutan ang activity nito. So, according to the clue, it all started, paano ba nagkaroon ng star? So, actually, from number 3 from number 2 downwards are already stars. Lahat-lahat yan ay mga stars. So, may kanya-kanya silang name and may kanya-kanya silang stages. And do you know that the heavy elements are formed within these stages of the star? So, alamin natin kung saang stages na form ang mga elements na to. So, pag-aralan muna natin ang life cycle of a star. It all started from a giant cloud of gas in dust in space called nebula. So, nebula nag-start. Inside a nebula, there are areas where gravity caused dust in hydrogen gas to clump together. Hydrogen gas, ha? Clump together para mag-combine. And more mass. More and more hydrogen gas in dust combine until it spins faster. Umikot ng umikot, spins faster. Sa kakaikot na ito, nag-ignite, nagkaroon ng friction, nagkaroon ng light. What happened? A protostar is born. Pag sinabing proto, siya ay bagong star. Ngayon, pangatlo naman, tinatawag nating main sequence star. It starts when the nuclear fusion occurs at the core. Pag nagkaroon na ng nuclear fusion, tinawag na natin sang main sequence star. It begins to contract and become stable. Anong nangyayari dito? Hydrogen, all the hydrogen gathered doon sa nebula and the protostar, all the hydrogen is converted to helium, H2He, the main sequence star. So, gaano ba kalaki ang main sequence star na ito? Some main sequence stars are big. If big siya or more mass, pupunta siya sa right side. If hindi siya masyadong malaki, pupunta siya sa left side. So, the main sequence stars is here. Siya yung pinaka-active star in all of this. So, tingnan natin ang sun natin. Sun is a star. How do we consider the sun? A sun is the main sequence star. What does the sun do? It converts hydrogen to helium. Daily, it gives heat and sunlight to us. Question: mamamatay ba ang sun? The answer is yes. Kailan? Pag naubos na ang fuel niya, na hindi na siya pwedeng magbigay ng light sa atin. Kailan ba mamamatay ang sun, which is considered the main sequence star? Matagal. according to research and according to our lesson, maglalas pa siya ng mga 4 to 5 billion years bago siya mamatay. What happened to the star or the main sequence star kung naubusan na siya ng fuel? If malaki siya, it will go to this part. If maliit siya, it will go to this part. Now, if the main sequence star naubusan ng fuel and medyo maliit siya, it will go down on the left side. A giant star become exhausted of nuclear fuel. The outer material blown off into space, leaving inert carbon. Patay na siya dito. The remnant is known as a white dwarf star. Then goes to a black dwarf star. The remains of white dwarf star cool down and no longer emit light and heat. So pagdating dito sa black dwarf, siya ay isang star na patay na. Then, balik tayo sa taas. Kung ang main sequence stars is malaki and starts to die, it will go down here. Tinatawag nating red super giant star. And then, it cools and expands faster than low mass star. Ito, si red supergiant. The carbon fusion occurs and oxygen is formed. Then, there is explosion of star or a supernova. Tandaan nyo, supernova ha. It's the release of large amount of energy. Elements are dispersed into space. Then, after several million years, it became a black hole. Ito number 6. A region in space where gravity is too strong that no matter can escape from it. Then, it become a neutron star from supernova. And this is the smallest star. So this is the life cycle of a star. Ang tanong, how many years ba ang buong lifespan ng star? Billion years. So ano kaya importance ba't napag-aralan natin ang life sequence ng star na ito? Because in each stage there is an elements formed through nuclear fusion. So mayroon pa kayong isang activity. For number 1, what element from space is pulled by gravity and turned into a protostar? So alangan naman na helium. So ano ba? Hydrogen or helium? Sa number 2, what will happen if a low-mass main sequence star runs out of hydrogen fuel? So ito, kung ang main sequence star ay low mass, dito siya pupunta. So what do you call this star? Nabanggit na natin kanina. How are heavy elements such as carbon, oxygen, and neon formed during star formation? So yon, mamaya nyo sasagutan. Yung mga heavy elements ay dito na form sa red supergiant star. Number 4, why is it impossible for any matter star to, such as light and radiation, to escape from a black hole? So alam nyo na yan. You just go to the clue. And sa number 5, why do you think massive star has shorter lifespan than average star? So dito, pag massive star daw, mas madali ang buhay kaysa sa average star. So, ano ang rason? Because the massive star evolves, umikot, and cools faster than the average star. Okay na? So, binagyan ko ng hint, masasagutan nyo na ang activity na yan. So, next, stars are formed into different stages because of nuclear fusion. Because of nuclear fusion, many elements are formed. So, ano naman ang mga important reactions or nuclear fusion that happened in the center or within the star? So, there are 4. Proton-proton chain reaction, CNO, carbon-nitrogen-oxygen cycle, number 3, tri-alpha process, and number 4, alpha ladder process. So let's discuss one by one. The first, a proton-proton chain reaction. Proton-proton. So alam niyo yung proton. Proton, ano ba yung proton? It has a charge of positive and it is found in the nucleus. So ito ang proton-to-proton chain reaction. So ito yung proton, another proton, kapartner niya ang neutron. A proton and a neutron fuse together to form a deuterium. Same yan sa ibaba. After makagawa ng dalawang deuterium, there is another proton. Another proton collides with the deuterium. Nadagdagan siya ng isang proton here to become a helium-3. So, same is here. Pagkatapos ng deuterium, meron pang pumasok na isang proton and become helium-3. Same lang sa baba. Deuterium fused with another proton and become helium-3. So, dalawa ng helium-3. Dalawang helium-3 fused together. Anong naging? Naging helium-4 with the release of proton. Helium-4. And helium-4 is an element. So, sa proton-proton chain reaction, what element is formed? The element formed is a helium-4. So, that is a proton and proton chain reaction. Number 2. The CNO carbon-nitrogen cycle. Dito, nakikita natin ang diagram. For the first one, the carbon-12 fused with a proton to become nitrogen-13. Nitrogen-13 undergoes beta decay to form carbon-13. Carbon-13 captures a proton and nitrogen-14 is formed. Nitrogen-14 captures a proton and oxygen-15 is formed. Ayun. Oxygen-15 undergoes a beta decay and nitrogen-15 is the result. Nitrogen-15 fused with a proton and gives off helium to generate a stable atom of carbon-12. So, carbon-12 doon, carbon-12 din dito. So, anong na-produce? Ang na-produce is helium-4 again. In a carbon-nitrogen reaction, anong na-form? Ang na-form is a helium. So, kanina, helium din. Ngayon, as helium. And the process repeats itself. So, number 3. There is also a so-called tri-alpha process. Pag sinabing tri, tatlo. So, ang alpha element na sinasabi is ang helium-4. Helium-4 combined with another helium-4 produces beryllium-8. Then, another helium-4 pumasok. and beryllium-8 naging carbon-12. So, anong product sa tri-alpha process? It is the carbon-12. So, meron pang pang-apat, it is the alpha ladder process. Nakita nyo, dumami na, no? So, ang alpha element is always helium-4. Nasa gitna siya. Pag marami ng helium-4, nakakagawa na ng maraming elements like this na nakikita nyo. So, paano ba ang proseso nito? Meron na tayong carbon. Paano nabuo ang oxygen? Carbon-12 plus 4 is 16. Is the atomic mass of oxygen. 16 plus 4 naging 20 is a neon. 20 plus 24 plus 4 naging 24. 24 plus 4 naging 28. 28 plus 4, 32. 32 plus 4, 36. 36 plus 4, 40. 40 plus 4, 44. 44 plus 4, 48. 48 plus 4, 52. 52 plus 4, 56. And so on and so forth. So, sa alpha ladder process, a star accumulates more mass and continue to grow into a red supergiant star. Nagaganap ito sa supergiant star so that nag-fuse ang mga elements sa alpha or helium to become more and more elements. So, nasagot na ba yung tanong? Paano nagkakaroon ng maraming elements sa stellar or sa star? And so this is a summary. Dito sa main sequence star, proton to proton. Dito sa main sequence star, we have the CNO cycle. And then the alpha ladder star, so many elements are formed. While on the left side, the tri-alpha process wherein the helium is converted to carbon. So, ang tanong, kung makikita nyo kanina, ang nabubuo lang is up to Fe or iron. Question, there are 118 elements in the periodic table. Paano nabuo pa yung iba na heavier than Fe? As the energy at the core of the star decreases, nuclear fusion cannot produce elements higher than iron. So, anong nangyayari? There is a neutron capture or the supernova nucleosynthesis. Ano ang ginagawa dito? The supernova. A neutron is added to an existing nuclei. Palang lalagyan mo ng neutron. Saan mo ba hanapin yung neutron? It is found in the universe itself, in the atmosphere. A neutron is added to an existing nuclei to form heavy elements, nucleus. Below is the representation of how neutron is captured and a heavier nucleus is formed. So ito ang example nun. A, Z, X. X is the element, A is the atomic mass, and Z is the atomic number. Pag nagdagdag ka ng neutron, what will happen? The atomic mass is madadagdagan, A plus 1. And the Z is ganun din. And it becomes another element. Hindi na siya X, kundi another element naman. So, this is an example. So, an isotopes of Fe is added by a neutron. So, 56 plus 3 times 1 is 59. 26 plus 0 is 26. So, this becomes another element. So, yun ang example. So, balikan natin. Neutron capture. maglalagay lang ng neutron and then maiiba ang atomic mass. Maiiba na ang element na to. So, in a neutron capture, it can be slow or fast. S process or slow process, the slow rate of a capturing neutron, while there is a fast rate of radioactive decay, hence increasing the proton by 1. So an example, this is a slow rate reaction, but another element is formed. Nagdagdag lang ng isang neutron, slow process, while letter B is the rapid process. There is a faster rate of capturing neutron, mabilis. It undergoes radioactive decay. Thus, more neutrons are combined at the nucleus. This is what happens in a supernova, forming heavier elements than iron. Yun na nga. Neutron capture is also called the supernova nucleosynthesis. Supernova. And sinasabi na during the pagsabog ng supernova na ito, supernova star, during sa pagsabog ng supernova na to, heavier elements were formed. How does it came to be? Yung neutron is added. Dumadagdag siya sa isang element in the nucleus and it become a heavy element. So far na-discuss na natin ang mga nuclear fusion and the stars, and na-discuss na natin yung last, which is the supernova nucleosynthesis or the neutron capture. So nakuha nyo na ba how the elements were formed? That without these reactions and nuclear fusion, do you think magkakaroon tayo ng maraming elements that are listed in the periodic table? Malamang wala. So this time, kayo na ang sasagot sa mga activities nyo. Go to your modules in sagutan. You have your guide naman. Match column A with column B. You go to your module and you have your guide naman. Kaya nyo na yan. And then dito, what have you learned? So, read the paragraph, then fill in the blanks with the correct words. It all starts with the. Saan ba nagsimula? Siyempre, nebula. Clouds of gas and dust. Due to the force of gravity, the. Anong gas ba yon? Hydrogen or helium? It is the hydrogen. The hydrogen gas is pulled together. For number 3, during this time, hydrogen is converted into. Saan ba nako-convert yung hydrogen? Into helium. And sa number 4, this is sa number 4. This is the red supergiant star, the biggest star in the universe. And sa number 5, iron is the converted into carbon star. At this point, red supergiant will become a supernova after 100 of years. So number 5, the answer is iron. So next, and the last activity. Now you have learned how stars are formed. Diba? How many stages meron? There are 7. Now, may gagawin kayo. You will write a story which relates the events of your life from past to present and future. Parang ihambing nyo to the life of a star. You also those elements which can symbolize something or anything in your story. So alam nang gagawin? You will write your story, life story, and you can ihambing nyo with the events that happened in the life cycle of the star. And the last of this activity, you will see a star with a topic written on the center. Fill out the parts of the star with all the concepts that you have learned in this module. So number 1, ano ba yun? Siyempre, nebula. Number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. So, yun lang. So, that's it. That concludes